Shalom, shalom. I want to say all praises be to Abanawa Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Harakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the sincere brethren. Akim out there across the four winds, the four corners of the globe, pushing the truth, the good news of Yahweh Shai, proclaiming salvation to the elect of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and proclaiming the downfall of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and his wicked empire. So this video is going to be entitled Turmoil in the Holy Land, or Turmoil in the Land of Israel, because that's exactly what we've been having for decades on in, and it's only gotten worse and worse in these last days and times, because the real people of the land, the true Israelites, the true Jews, are not inhabiting that land. You have imposters over there, and you have heathen nations over there fighting over our land. So-called Jews, so-called Arabs, so-called Ethiopians, and different nations, Armenians, all manner of heathen is over there. You understand? Fighting over our land. Chiefly the so-called Jews and the so-called Arabs. And there's all type of war and chaos in that land because the rightful owners are not in that land. And abominable works are being done in that land time and time again, day in and day out. And the false gods are being worshipped in that land, not Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 2 verse 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. Those mountains and the hills is talking about these different nations. Mountains represents great nations, hills representing lesser nations. So all the governments of the world, all the nations, the kingdoms of this world, is gonna submit under the kingdom of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai and the Israelites, 144,000. And we're gonna blast them into submission via Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai gonna lead the way, and we're gonna blast these nations, force them into submission, which is gonna happen during this World War III, with the simultaneous return of Yahweh Shai. And all nations shall flow onto it, because all nations are going to be subject unto the true nation of Israel, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Did the so-called Jews do this? No. They don't have these nations in submission. These nations are warring against the so-called Jews. These nations hate the so-called Jews, man. You understand? So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 2, verse 3. And many people shall go and say, come here, let us go up. This is going into the kingdom. Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of our power of Jacob, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. So these nations are going to be in subjection to the Israelites. They're going to have to learn the ways, the laws, such the commandments of the Israelites. Is that happening with the so-called Jews? Is that happening over there in the land of Israel? No. There's turmoil. These nations are waging war and hate the so-called Jews, man. The so-called Jews are the most hated people upon the planet, even amongst other so-called white people. So how can they be the people? Ain't nobody willingly submitting and want to follow the ways of the Jewish way of life. No, they're rebelling. They coming up against the so-called Jews, waging war against the so-called Jews. The only ally, the only ally that the so-called Jews have really is America, which goes into biblical prophecy, because the scriptures tell you what, the least of the flock shall draw them out, man. The least of the flock shall draw them out. Which the least of the flock is who? The state of Israel, the so-called Jews. So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 2. Continue on, verse 3. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. God, is that happening? No. All type of madness, man. What is it? Tel Aviv has the biggest LGBTQ parade, man. Kosher pork. They divided up Jerusalem between the Jews, the Arabs, the Christians, and the Armenians, which is total madness. How the hell are you gonna have divisions amongst them? No, man. It belongs one land, one order, man, one thing, man. Which the order is the order of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, worshiping the God of Israel, which is Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Yahweh the Father and His Son Yahweh Shai. But they worshiping all manner of madness out there. All manner of wickedness is happening out there. That's why you have chaos, wars, rumors of wars. Right now they pummeling the Gaza Strip again. You understand? But them Ishmaelites, they ain't giving in, man. Them Ishmaelites still holding heavy. Isaiah chapter 2 verse 4, and he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. So we're gonna be rebuking and setting these nations in order, because we're gonna be in order. The Lord is setting us in order right now, starting with the hopeful elect. The Lord is setting us in order. No more being we no longer being niggers, Spics, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans. No, we are being Israelites from our respective tribes. So Isaiah chapter 2 verse 4, and he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat this. This is one of the main points I wanted to get to. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So the true Jews have been established over there in the land. Why is there war, constant war, so much turmoil? As we speak, bombs is dropping. People are being blown to smithereens, man. So there's war going on. The nations ain't in a peace. The nations ain't put down their weapons. No, the nations are continuously warring one against another, man. Specifically warring against the who's supposed to be Jews, man. They're coming up against the so-called chosen people, man. Showing you that they aren't the chosen people, because they don't fit Isaiah, man. They don't fit Isaiah 2 and 4. You understand? So they're not the chosen people. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, verse Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. But that showed you. Point is, they can't be the people, because nation is warring. We about to enter World War III. We living in the time of Joel 3 and 9. So how they can fit the end time prophecy of the Israelites being back in that land? They can't. They can't, because they aren't the people, man. They aren't the true Israelites. They're imposters, which that's according to biblical prophecies, that usurpers was gonna take over our identity and take over our land. But guess what? Once they did that, it'll be perpetual war and turmoil in that land. Even the former president back in the 1950s of Egypt, Abdel Gamal Nasser, he said, the Jews left black and came back white. They will never have peace in this land. You understand? This is the book of Joel chapter 3 verse 9. Proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So there you have it. So we living in the time of Joel 3 and 9. But according to the so-called Jews, we belongs living in the time of Isaiah 2. So hey, that shows you that they're not the people, because we living in the time of Joel 3 and 9. Verse 10, 3 and 9 through 10. This is the point right here. Beat your plowshares into swords. So instead of being at peace, agricultural, farming, what are they doing? They are beating their plowshares into swords, man. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Come, so prepare for war. But Isaiah 2 says when the Jews back in the land, the Israelites, Judah, you know what I mean, because these so-called Jews like to say they're Judah, Yahudi, or Levi. When they're back in the land, they're supposed to be at peace. Isaiah 2. But nah, we in Isaiah 3 and 10. Isaiah 3 and 9. Showing you that their math ain't mathing. Our math mathing. Our equation fits the bill. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. There's all these nations building up their military. Russia, Iran, China, the Houthis over there in Yemen, so on and so forth. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hook into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. Assemble yourselves and come all you heathen. Gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord, because Yahweh and the angels are going to come down and judge these nations in World War III. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, which is the Middle East, man. The Middle East, which is all type of war and turmoil going on out there as we speak, and it's only going to intensify more and more. Because we're living in a time of this Joel 3 and 9 in order to bring in Isaiah 2. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So the Lord is going to judge all the heathen round about. There wouldn't be no need for judgment, for this great judgment if it was in Isaiah 2, because this comes before Isaiah 2. This comes before Isaiah 2. So how can those be the people? They aren't. They aren't. They are Zechariah 9 and 6. All nations against these people, man. All nations lambaste the so-called Jew and the Israelis. There's all type of protests even here in America against they call it Israeli occupation of Gaza, man. The Israeli bombardment of Gaza. So how can they be the people, man? You think we're gonna have protests in our kingdom against us being in the land? Hell no, man. They can't even live in peace in the land. They have the Iron Dome. They have to what they call it, when missiles coming in, they have sirens going off. You think we're gonna have that in Jerusalem, in the land of Israel? Hell no, man. Ain't no nation gonna be shooting no missiles or no rockets on us, man. Hell no. Back in the book of what I was gonna get, Zechariah 9 and 6. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 9, verse 6. And the bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. Come. So Ashdod is a city on the coast of Israel, I think close to Tel Aviv. So a bastard, who's dwelling there? A bastard is our illegitimate son, not a real son. So you illegitimate. So bastards are dwelling in the lands of Israel. And I will cut off the pride of the Philistines, because the Philistines is really what the Palestinians call themselves today. Which the Lord jacking them up too, same way, guys. They don't belong in that land. They have no rights to that land. The only people that have rights to that land is the Israelites by lineage, by antiquity. Back in the book of Revelation, probably close it out with this precept right here. Revelation chapter 11 verse 1. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of the Most High. What's the temple of the Most High, man? First it starts with us. You understand? And then in the kingdom, we're going to have that also same way. Rise and measure the starts with the elect. And there was given me a reed like unto the rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of the Most High, and the altar and them that worship therein. So who's going to be allowed to worship within the holy temple of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai? And what's the measuring stick? The scriptures. You find written in the book of the law. Do you pertain to the promises? Are you an Israelite? Basically. Are you an Israelite? Starting with the elect, are you an Israelite? But the court which is without the temple, so the outside, those that are profane, because that's what profane means, outside of the temple, basically the heathen. But the court which is without the temple, leave out and measure it not. Why don't measure it not? Because the heathen has no inheritance with the Israelites. The heathen is not part of the covenants, the giving of the law, the promises of the Israelites. For it is given unto the Gentiles, the Gawayam, the Gentiles, which you so-called Jews, you like to call people what they call it, the Goyim. You like to call people the Goyim. No, you the Goyim, man. You like to call people the swine. No, you the swine, man. Because you're not the people. You're not the people of antiquity. And even when you look up the word Israeli, it means a modern inhabitant of the land of Israel. And when you look up Israelite, it goes back to people descended from Jacob, Israel. And that's who the Lord dealing with. Lineage, bloodline. But the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread on the foot 40 and 2 months. Kind of, we in the season of them treading the holy city on the foot. The Gentiles, the Arabs, the Arabs, the so-called Israelis, the Ethiopians, all these different nations, the Armenians, that's over there in the land, inhabiting our land, defiling our land. This is their season. But the time of the Gentiles is coming to an end. Till the times of the Gentiles being fulfilled, and we're in the time of the Gentiles being fulfilled. And Yahweh Shai coming back. Hey, so with that, hope this lesson was edifying. Going to say all praises be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of great Milson, who rule well. Shalom to the elect.